Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. My name is Chelsea. I know that in the title, this video is still a vlog, but I wanted to feel more like a video and photo diary, if you will. It's a kind of fancy way of saying basically I bought a disposable film camera on this trip and took a couple photos and now want to show it to you guys. This is probably also long overdue because it took me quite a while to get these developed. So even though this was near the end of 2022, I hope you guys can still enjoy this. And I hope that I can look back on it with fond memories. So if you're familiar with disposable cameras at all, this is the one that I got. It is called the Kodak Fun Saver with 35mm film, and it has around like 27 to 30 frames. So I rationed that to around 5 photos that I could take with this per day since my vacation was around 6 days, including the travel days. So without further ado, let's just jump right into this vlog and let me take you through my 2022 vacation in Hawaii. So the first photo I took was actually a very generic flying photo. Normally I wouldn't choose a window seat, but we were in the last group of boarding and that was all that was available. But it did let me take this pretty nice picture of our plane. It was a pretty long flight because we were going to the furthest island in Hawaii from the mainland, which is Kauai, and there was a lot of turbulence. It was a very beautiful landing though, and I just love flying over the ocean and getting lower and lower and then finally touching down on land. It was obviously quite a change of climate when we touched down. There were chickens everywhere. It was nice and sunny. And the first stop we did was at a Thai place, which was the only one open. I think this was on Christmas Day. Then when we got to the hotel, I took this picture of my sister at the Christmas tree. I just thought it was a nice opportunity to test how this camera could function indoors. There was a big swimming pool in the back and a really nice view out of our room window. This was a resort type place with this golf course actually in the background. There was also a lot of chickens here in Hawaii and also their native bird, the nene. I of course had to take this picture of the view from our window. Then after dinner we went out to the golf course to just walk around and I took this at sunset. Wow, this is a liminal space. The scenery looked very liminal from here, especially at sunset, and there was just basically not many people around. We also walked around a bit and tried to go down to the beach near our hotel, but because we were at the top of the cliff, it was a bit steep going down, so we just gave up. And of course, by the end of the day, I had some mosquito bites, which I feel like is a rite of passage every time I go to a more tropical place, and that concluded day 1. Now onto the second day and our first official full day. So in the morning, we decided to hike the Sleeping Giant West Trail. This hike went through several different nature views, I forgot what the term is called, including these pine trees where I took the first picture. There were also some great views of the island as we climbed higher, as it changed from forest hiking to more rock climbing. I asked my sister to take a picture of me halfway, but there was actually a much better view at the top. I guess this was just to test my sister's disposable camera operation skills. And this photo was also not even at the top yet, but we took a break here since there was a nice little bench and also a chicken that I got close to. I realized these chickens are not scared of humans at all, as I feel like I was able to get pretty close to take the picture. Even if you don't feed them, they're still very comfortable around humans. And finally, here is this view at the top featuring my dad. The view at the top was really nice, but it was quite scary to get there since it was a very narrow and uneven rocky section. We also took a small detour to go through these holes in the rock, which were supposed to be like the sleeping giant's nostrils. I guess if you look from very far away, you can maybe see us. At the top, you definitely feel on top of the world here. The clouds look very close and you can pretty much see the whole island to the ocean. Overall, this hike was not too long and there were a few challenging parts. And lastly, in the afternoon, my sister and I swam a bit in the hotel pool since we had to take advantage of these amenities. day 3, we decided to hike another trail in Waimea Canyon. So this was a totally different environment than the forest and ocean environments we just saw. It was very dry and sunny up there, though it did get wetter when we started hiking. I took my first picture at this overlook of the canyon, and honestly, if you told me this was the Grand Canyon and I had never been to the Grand Canyon, I wouldn't doubt you a single bit, because it really was that majestic. And it's actually much greener than the Grand Canyon. There was a lot more plant life down there. Next, we took these pictures along the hike whenever there was a nice overlook. This was probably the most challenging hike of this trip. Even though it was only, I think, around 3 or 4 miles, there were lots of ups and downs and changes in terrain. Lastly, here's a photo of the Kalalau Valley, which I may have mispronounced, so forgive me if I did, which is, again, this is very impressive for a small island. I feel like, honestly, in the Waimea Canyon State Park, you could stop anywhere, look out the window, and there will be a nice view. In the afternoon and evening, we went to a beach that could really only be accessed through this dirt road that was very bumpy. So the dirt road itself, even though it was only around like a mile or two, took us like 30 minutes to get through. Not gonna lie, I feel like I've seen better sunsets along the California coast, but given the beach and the nice weather, I still enjoyed it very much. I'm sorry guys, at this point I feel like I may not be the best person to describe things, but hopefully you guys are all getting the picture based on these visuals that I'm showing you. And that's another goal of mine with disposable film photography. I'm definitely trying to improve my photo skills, and this is kind of my first step.
Stay a while and figure me out. I promise you won't regret it.
Now this day was a little more chill. We just went to a couple of beaches and I got all my photo ops in. I really wanted to visit Hanalei Bay first of all, since it was the setting and title of one of my favorite short stories from Haruki Murakami. I read through the story the night before and thought that visiting the setting would really give me a sense of what it was about. I'd highly recommend you checking out that story. One thing I regret was I should have been reading that story on the beach rather than the night before to really get the full experience. We also visited Tunnels Beach and Poipu Beach in the afternoon and got some shaved ice in between. At Poipu Beach, there were a bunch of these turtles just chilling at the water, which was very cool to see. We couldn't get too close to them obviously, but it was fun to watch more and more of them come up onto the shore. Apparently these turtles would come to this beach often when COVID was at its peak, since there weren't as many people, and the lady there said there could be 50 to 100 turtles on this beach once it got dark, but I think we saw at least 20, which is good in my books. It did feel a little dystopian when everyone was just standing around and watching these turtles. I mean, they didn't look too disturbed and they didn't do much except just lounge around there, but I did feel kind of weird joining in this big crowd of spectators. And that ended day 4 of our trip. I did get a lot of nice photos, both film and otherwise.
Late again, oh great, here come the excuses. It's standard time, we said we'd meet.
Now on to day 5, we stopped by Wailua Falls first, and this was just a simple outlook where there was a little bit of parking, somebody selling coconuts, a couple chickens, and the waterfall right there. We did buy one of the coconuts and drink from it, and it was pretty good, but I personally couldn't taste any difference between this and just store-bought coconut water. Then we went to Shipwreck Beach, which was in the Poipu area, but at this time my sister wasn't feeling too well, so we left without doing too much here. The beach itself was really pretty though. Instead, the main activity of the day was actually going down to the beach near our resort, the one that we didn't get to on the first day. So this was actually a super calm place with shallow waters and not many waves. We were able to wade out pretty far and just sit on these rocks like the Little Mermaid. Now we're on to day 6, the last day of our trip, which makes this whole video feel super fast and also our vacation feel very fast. Our flight was in the afternoon, so we still had a little bit of time in the morning. We were able to catch the sunrise at a lookout nearby, and I just used up the rest of my film roll there. There were a lot of chickens there, good views, and flowers. I feel like sunrise, you always have to catch the perfect moment when the sun actually came up. And not gonna lie, I feel like we already missed it since it already gotten pretty light when we got got there, but luckily we were able to be blessed with this great view. We did actually go to Shipwreck Beach again and hike around a bit as we hadn't gotten to the previous day. The trail we went on was called the Mahaulepu Heritage Trail, and this ran along the coast, so there were a lot of good and varied sights. I actually didn't film too much here since I was busy just spending time with family on the last day, so I'll just insert some pictures rather than videos here. And now it was finally time to go home, so we headed to the airport and got back in the evening. And thus concluded my Hawaiian trip in this last week of 2022. Hopefully it was a good way to remember this nice and wholesome time for me and act as some nice entertainment for whoever is watching. Also, by the time I'm editing this, I'll probably have added a couple more historical or informational facts about each of the places we went to, since I cannot remember them off the top of my head recording this part. This trip also made me excited to pick up film photography more in the new year. I know that film cameras can be expensive, but I'm looking to find some affordable options and continue pursuing this hobby. And that brings us to the end of this video. If you watched this far, thanks so much for still being here, and I'll see you guys very soon in the next one.